Well, hello, everybody in Larchmont and Mamaroneck. My name is Mitch Weisberg. I've lived in Larchmont, or the town of Mamaroneck, now for about 40 years. And basically, what I do full time is mind shifting. I teach educators, I write books, I talk on podcasts about mind shifting. And to me, mind shifting is all about resourcefulness, resilience, and collaboration. Resourcefulness is being able to shift in mindsets that allow us to access the most resourceful parts of our brain, the parts that do critical thinking, the parts that are innovative, the parts that allow us to connect with other people. And then resilience is what allows us to go into situations, and even if things go wrong, we take what comes back as feedback that allows us to adjust, rather than judging it as and blaming. Oh, something went wrong. This person did this to me. I'm always a victim. But if we can switch from those mindsets into, okay, I did this. This is what happened. Now this is what I'm going to try next. Then we're showing resilience. And then the third part of it is collaboration, because no matter what we do in this world, we're going to be doing it with other people, and some of those people are going to get in our way. It's probably hard for you to believe, but sometimes people will disagree with us, even with me. There's every once in a while somebody will disagree with me. Sometimes people will try to harm us. They'll compete with us. Sometimes we don't like the other person. But somehow or other, we're going to have to figure out how to work with them anyhow. And you can see that in society all over the place, where the divisiveness, the partisanship, and we're not talking to each other and we're not collaborating. So the third element to mind shifting is to be able to switch into a collaborative state of mind and to be able to work with other people to collaborate. My mission is that somehow or other to get a critical mass of people, let's say 5 million people, who know how to be resourceful, who know how to be resilient, who know how to be collaborative. And if we had 5 million people who could do that, well, first of all, they would be happier. They would be more successful. And second of all, those people would start to lead us through some of the issues that we face in society. So that's what I do. This is going to be really a monthly podcast or monthly session on LMC TV. And I have to thank LMC TV for allowing us to do this. Where we're going to be talking about different elements of mind shifting. And you can probably see there's my book over here on the side. This is my second book, even though it's volume 3, Conflict and Collaboration. So we'll be talking a little bit about the book and the other book and the courses. But each time I'm gonna try to have a guest who brings a different perspective to life. And this time, I am really honored to have a friend of mine who I really just met about 5 or 6 months ago, Marion Anderson. And so let me turn it over to Marion to introduce herself.
So I'm Marion Anderson, named for the singer. I am an early childhood professional working with children, and I think a lot of what I do in life is working with children on learning how to resolve their conflicts in life, their little petty squabbles. They're not so petty, but also teaching them how to be use initiative and work together in a collaborative way. So, teaching children to be social. It's something that I think relates back to teaching adults to be social because we forget how to do it. Learning to be empathic and being able to look at the other person's point of view. So, I recently, 2 years ago, my husband passed away, and I did a grief counseling. And we all did an exercise, and that exercise, we rated each other, and we didn't know what ourselves. And we came back, and my rating when I came back to the group was that I was extremely empathic. That I do spend a lot of time thinking about how others feel and think, and it helps me to be able to collaborate with them. And it's a resource that I use in my interactions with people. So, educator, working with people with disabilities, running for council.
And first of all, so you're local, okay, and
Yes.
your not-for-profit that you run is local. What's the name of your not-for-profit?
My not for profit, I've been there for 18 years. It's named Heart Song Incorporated, and it is just one of those wonderful, delicious little organizations Small but mighty. We work with people who have developmental disabilities using the arts as a therapy. So we can learn in lots of different ways: music as a tool, art as a tool, dance as a tool, drama as a tool, because we all process the world around us in different ways. So it is just offering a different modality of learning in the world.
And then also you mentioned running for town council.
Yes. So I live in Rice City. I am running for city council. I've lived in Rice City my entire life. Have spent a lot of time working with not for profits in Rye, in Portchester. We just did a walk for Alzheimer's, and just really being aware that 13% of people over 65 in Westchester County are going to be afflicted with a dementia or Alzheimer's. It's thinking about other people. That's what I do. So I think running for council for me is, we are in an environment where people are not talking to people. People are not collaborating. They are not willing to make compromise. So right now we are stuck in a financial situation because there's no compromise. And it's something that hopefully, as I'm working with young children, we're going to have the next generation that is going to be able to compromise and collaborate and be resourceful and listen, because listening is such an integral part to the whole process.
It really is. So, part of me says, okay, so that's a great opening to conflict and collaboration and mind shifting. But sitting behind you, or the image behind you, is the Rotary Club of Larchmont, which is LarchmontRotaryNewYork.org is the website, and that's basically how we met, because Rotary is an international organization that's a service organization, so it brings people together locally to socialize and to also figure out things that they can do to help the community, the environment, to help each other. You've been in Rotary for a long time, and you're one of the officers of the Larchmont Rotary chapter. Maybe you can give a better explanation than I can.
I've been with the Larchmont Rotary for 14 years. I came to Rotary through my not-for-profit, because as a not-for-profit, small not-for-profit, I'm always out there looking for money to help support the organization, and Rotaries are service organizations that actually fund lots of projects through the community. So I have spoken in, I believe, every single Rotary in Westchester County, which there are over 30 of them. I landed in Larchmont because I spoke in Larchmont, and there was just something special about the community, a small club that was founded in 1929. Rotary has been around for a lot of years. It is an international organization. It has people, 1.4 million members around the world. And it is a social organization. It's about networking, which is what we need to do, is to be together and share our skills and our expertise. And that's really how Rotary started, as more of a networking organization. And it's about collaboration and working hard in service projects in our local communities, but also working on projects around the world, solving polio, which unfortunately is rearing its head again. Rotary with the UN solves problems. We use our resources in the community, and the resources are the people. So that's Rotary, and we'd love to have members join us.
Right. So you can, if people listening are interested, they could go to that LarchmontRotaryNewYork.org. Marion mentioned that the Alzheimer's March was actually this past weekend as we're recording this. How much money was Rotary, our local Rotaries, able to raise?
Our Westchester Rotaries raised $40,000 this year. Last year, our Rotaries raised $22,000. We've put our efforts behind us, and this is what Rotary can do: is really make big differences in the lives of people in our communities.
So we are talking, friendly. We're talking about collaboration. You touched on the conflict part when you were talking about why you're running for Rye Council. Maybe you could talk a little bit about types of conflict or conflicts that you've seen, and then I can maybe relate that to the book or the principles that I talk about in the book or my courses.
All right, so my work, I work in an early childhood setting. I own the center. I'm the director of the center. I have about 24 staff and 60 children. So there's a lot of conflict going on. There's conflict with the children, but it's interesting. I'll spend a little bit more time talking about the conflict with staff. That sometimes egos get in the mix of the things, that it impacts how people relate to each other, which is not a great model for the children. As adults, we need to model bringing personal, what's the word for it that I'm looking for? Just personal beliefs, that I am a person that believes that children listen and adults are the rule makers, and that's the way it's going to be. However, in early childhood, that's not how we really want to resolve. So if you have a child that may have behavioral issues and you're upset as a teacher because that child is not listening, and you're unable to be resourceful in your thinking of equality and equity within an environment is so important to think about. So is it better to be equitable and provide a child something that is going to help them benefit? Or is it better to be equal and do the exact same thing for every single child? I go on the side of equitable. So if you have a short person, a middle-sized person, and a tall person, and there's a fence, and there are boxes, the tall person can stand on their own and look over the fence. The middle person may need one box, and the short person may need 3 boxes. The equity is they can all see over the fence.
Yep.
So we want to provide that in an environment with children, but also in an environment when we're running a city council. It applies to everything we're doing, that it's about equity. So in government right now, we're in a shutdown, and we're really not thinking about the equity for the people in our country right now. So all of these things, they're interrelated. It is your home environment, it is your work environment, it is the world environment. And if I have a person with disabilities, I'm going to make the adjustment to make it equitable for them. If I have a staff member that has a challenge, I'm going to work to make it equitable for them.
And I think that relates also to mindsets and the way in the book and the course that I teach, also conflict and collaboration, the way that results in mindsets is you can go into something with the mindset, I have to do this. So picture that adult and that child, and the adult is thinking, my job is to deal with this child, and I want this child to clean up their toys, or I want this child to do so-and-so, and then the child doesn't do this. If your mindset is, I have to get this done, then as that child is doing something different, it's like I knew this child was difficult. It's like I just have to be stronger, and you get into a different way of reacting to the child. If your mindset going in is I get to work with children and let them be themselves, and we would like the child to pick up their toys, or we would like this, but the number one thing that I have to do, the number one thing I get to do is I get to see the joy on children's faces no matter where they come from. Then your whole attitude towards that child not picking up its toys, screaming, is just very different. And what we teach in the book is you can actually control that attitude. So it's not like, oh, you're a person who judges people. It's like you may be judging people because you haven't learned how to recognize when you get into that mindset, how to calm down your survival, fight and flight instincts, and then tap into your own resourcefulness. And you must see that all the time in people who react to the children or react to work situations where they're going in already ready to be triggered, and sure enough, they're triggered, versus other people who go in and it's the exact same event, but they know how to, oh my gosh, yes, I wanted to do this, but what's more important to me is this, and I'm going to make this a joyful moment.
Right. So I think in my not-for-profit Heart Song, one of the things that we're always looking for is joy. It's just the joy in life. And if we're able to step back and take that deep breath and relax ourselves, we're able to experience that joy. And once we have that calmness allows us to work in a much more collaborative fashion, be understanding of the various behaviors or whatever it is we're seeing, but joy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a foundation.
And you were bringing up when we were talking about earlier, a person who probably didn't have a tremendous amount of self-esteem. They were a pleaser, and their attitude was that they had to do whatever they had to do to please the person or to avoid bringing up a situation.
Right. It's a young girl, 19 years old, and just
young for us.
Young for us. Very young for me. Very. Unable to answer the question, what makes you happy? Which is just such an intrinsic thing in life. Very stressed out, very anxious, an anxiety disorder because she's a pleaser, and has a low self-esteem and is really even unable to accept a compliment or something that points to a strength.
And so many of us in, say, the service sector of that's what we are, is we're looking to please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're looking to please. However, there's a balance there, So I do a lot of ancillary work with my clients. They may need help with getting Con Ed, or they may need help with internet. I don't know, whatever their issues are. I'm not going to go out and do that work for them. I'm going to work with them, and I'm going to help get them the resources and teach them to be able, I will give them, what is the expression, a hand up rather than a hand out. And I think that that's a different way of thinking. I want to help people, but I'm not going to carry people. I want to help them.
And this young person hasn't learned this, and so many people haven't learned this, and you obviously have, is the difference between being assertive, asserting what you need, and being aggressive.
Right.
And a lot of people who are pleasers really confuse. They think, I can't tell this person I need to go to the Dominican Republic with my mom because she's sick. Or I can't say I need time for myself, or I can't say I'm not going to work late because I have to please. Whereas, and they think immediately, well, I can't say these things because people aren't going to like me, because I can't be aggressive, because people aren't going to respect me. But the fact of the matter is, if we really think about it, that people respect us more when we let them know what we need. And that's what's being assertive is. Being aggressive is very different. Being aggressive is not just letting people know what we need, but demanding that they accommodate us. It puts them in a subsidiary position. We're telling them what to do, and they have to do it. When we're asserting, it's like, I need to create some space for myself. I can't stay late tonight because I have these things. Whereas aggressive is you're making me stay late. You're always imposing on me. You're a bad person, and we see this in leaders all the time, because leaders very often are they get to a certain position of authority because they're able to make us feel like we're below them and we have to do what they want. But if we can get the power back to realize, like, no, I don't have to be accommodative. Let me figure out what I really need, and then to be able to state that our needs are and hold to those needs, that makes us more powerful, and it also means that people respect us more.
Hmm. So it's the microcosm of the family, how that works. It's the microcosm of how an employer and employee works together. It's the microcosm of our government and how it operates, whether it's we're going to decide that we're going to eradicate anybody who was not born here and just move them for some sort of a nonsensical reason. I'm not quite sure what the reason would be, but it comes down from the top, and it creates an environment. It creates a human ecosystem. So we can decide which way we want to go. Do we want an ecosystem that is symbiotic and working together, and that is happy and joyful and symbiotic, or do we want an ecosystem that is built upon chaos and fear and upset, which is, we can see this on very many levels in our local communities, in our homes. If you have a home that's filled with domestic violence, it is an unsafe ecosystem.
Right. And in that ecosystem, there's one person who's being aggressive.
Exactly.
And their aggressiveness is then triggering to the other person to be submissive or accommodating. And those are actually two ways of managing conflict. And it's not that competing in that sense, well, and obviously in the sense of abuse, it's wrong. But competing in and of itself is not necessarily a wrong way of handling conflict. There are times where we have to dictate what happens. If we're a parent and it's our child's bedtime, it's our child's bedtime. Right. It's not like, oh, do you want to go to bed? Oh, you don't want to go to bed? Okay, I'll let you watch TV. Or you want to play with your phone while we're having dinner? That's fine. Play with your phone while we're having dinner, and go ahead and and that's okay. You don't have to be submissive. You can't compete and say no. In our family, if this is your role, in our family, you put your phone down when you're having dinner, or in the case of the bedtime, it's my job as the parent to make sure that you're safe and healthy. And sometimes I have to do things that really disagree with what you want. And I understand from your standpoint that you want to stay up past 9 o'clock, or you want to stay up past 8 o'clock, whatever the time is. And if I were you, I would be very angry with me right now. But just understand, I will always love you, and I really understand why you're angry with me right now, but it's still my job, and it's your bedtime, and you have to go to bed. And so you can use that compete style with compassion and with empathy and still get your point across. But again, there's 5 different ways of handling conflicts. Compete is sometimes the right way, but it's not always the right way. And when somebody is a very aggressive competitor, what they're expecting the other person to do is accommodate. And accommodate means that you're going along with what they're saying. And again, sometimes accommodate is the right thing to do. Like with my wife, okay? There are times where I want to do one thing for dinner and she wants to do something else. And I am sometimes, probably at least 10% of the time, willing to accommodate because I want her to enjoy herself. I'm not giving in because I think she's more powerful or she's right. I just want her to enjoy herself, and I'm willing to do it. And to be honest, she does it at least 10% of the time with me also. It's like she'll accommodate because she wants me to enjoy myself. There are times where we should accommodate. We should also learn how to make a conscious choice. Like, here's a conflict. You know something? This is the time that I need to be a competer, that I have to get this through, but I can do it with compassion. Or there's a conflict, and for whatever reason, I'm making a choice to let to go with the other person because I think that's the best for my long-term goals.
So one of your points here, I think that's important, is that self-reflective piece, to reflect it back. With my child, I love you. I'm sending you to bed. I understand how you feel, and reflecting that back to them. So it becomes a circular relationship that they understand why you're sending them to bed, and that you are understanding of it.
And they're still going to be angry with you that night, okay?
No.
But on the other hand, it does set up a situation where over the long term, they know that you care. And over the long term, it sets up a much more collaboratory relationship that you have with your children.
And I think you have to assess your situations as to how you're going to handle the situation. Is it going to be competitive? Is it going to be more collaborative? And, response, are you going to accommodate? So sometimes we just need to move along and accommodate. I enjoy accommodating for, people sometimes. It makes me feel good. So that's the reverse part of it is your wife wants to accommodate for you. You want to accommodate for her. It is a mutual respect that you have for each other, and it makes you both feel good.
It does. It does. Yeah. And what I hinted at before is that those are 2 of the 5 different ways of handling conflicts. And I think in some of the other sessions we'll go into greater detail for the other 3. We're heading towards the end. We probably have a couple minutes left. So I do want to come back to, I guess, a couple things with you. First of all, maybe you can talk about why you're running for city council in Rye.
I've always been politically active in the community. Remember back in the 60s, 1964, with the Voting Rights Act being approved, that black women were finally allowed to vote. And I remember going the very first time with my mom to vote.
That must have been an experience.
It was an experience, and I remember it very, very clearly. We've come a long way in this country. I just am at this point where I just feel that we are moving backwards, that we are not resolving our conflicts in a healthy way. We're taking things away from people. We're eradicating history. We're taking books out of schools. We need to understand, I believe we need to understand our history because it will inform our future. It will inform our children so we don't make the same mistakes. And I think we're heading in a direction where we're making mistakes again.
And hopefully it's a pendulum.
And it is.
So hopefully we don't continue to move in a direction where we're forgetting about where we come from.
Yeah,
But,
so basically I'm that person that wants to remind people of where we came from.
That's very powerful.
And, hope to shift the pendulum back just a little bit, because that place in the middle is where we're all going to come together and work. And I'm not going to get everything I want, and people on the other side are not going to get everything they want. How we approach it, it's something that we're modeling for the next generation that is, going to be taking care of us in the next few years as senior citizens. How do we want them to approach it? Because they're going to approach it in a way as
they're
an
gonna mirror.
opposite.
They're going to mirror what we did.
Exactly.
They're going to learn from how we handled it.
Exactly.
So, so the beeper is going.
Yep.
So our time is off. And the other thing is, I do want to make the point that if you feel that you also want to help the community, LarchmontRotaryNewYork.org is a way you can join with those of us who are trying to make a difference in the community, and also tune into other sessions of MindShifting with Mitch. And you can also see my website, MindShiftingWithMitch.com.
Right. And one correction,
Yes.
LarchmontRotary.org.
Larchmont Rotary. Right,
.org.
LarchmontRotary.org.
.org.
Right, sorry, LarchmontRotary.org.
Okay.
Marion, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And hope to see you all in about a month.
Great.
Take care.